I had an Amstrad CPC 6128 or something like that. All I remember was that there was a game called Roland, and then he jumped and then he went to the moon, and then the first boss fight, and I was like, this is boring. So then I decided I didn't like games, so I was going to write my own game. We were at the op shop, I can't remember why, just whatever, browsing as me and my grandma did. And there was a write your own fantasy game book, which was weird because, you know, I fucking hate fantasy, anything. Books, Game of Thrones. The second there's a dragon or a jewel, any kind of staff or goblins, it's like, nah. In the old days, we didn't have Google. This wasn't even a Google thing, right? You don't just copy and paste the code. You had a book and you copied out the code. You know what? I've never had that amount of free time since. I don't even have time to read a book, let alone retype out one into a fucking computer. And it had like 18,000 lines of BASIC, right? So you'd sit there and it'd be like 10 space. I can't even remember the syntax, (8, 1, whatever the fuck it was. What was I saying? Oh yeah, how to write your own fantasy game. I've got a brand to protect. I don't want people out there thinking that I enjoy anything to do with fantasy genre at all. Thank you very much. Just so we've got that clear and established on the first video I've ever made in my 25 years of using the internet. Bandersnatch has triggered my PTSD because you couldn't turn it off. See, I'm sure that the internet will tell me that there was a way for me to save it and turn it off and save progress. But I didn't know how because I didn't have money or Google. So, okay, I made it work. So I was banging my missus, right? And she says, so basically, you know, circumstance and timing had me spending 6 weekends typing out this fucking book. In retrospect, I could have done with more friends. It was a long and arduous 6 weeks for a child. After school, I go home and it's sort of just, you know, because obviously I wasn't a typist. Kids today, like, they just fucking type. We had to, remember how we had classrooms full of typewriters and we had to learn how to type. Typing wasn't something that we inherently knew at 12. In my day, you went to the typewriter classroom and learned how to type. Sweet cat, sweet cat. I didn't go through this book sort of line by line. I went through this like character by character, like type, double check, type, double check, type, double check, fucking enter, type, double check. This was meticulous. This was something that amazes even me because I'm incapable of that level of detail. Oh God, Paul's choking on a grape. Went through this and I got to the end and I hit run, is it run at the time, whatever, and I get my syntax error. And I was fucking gutted. And I'm sure the internet will go, oh, well, you could have saved every line. But I didn't know. I was a kid. Anyway, so I was devastated. I fucking cried. I was so upset. And I was like, but I checked it. But I was like, oh. Anyway, there was this UK support number on the back of the book, right? And so I actually rang it. I got in trouble for making an overseas phone call without telling anyone, but that's another story. But I decided that I was so upset that I'd call this fucking number. And the very nice lady, in retrospect, if it had been me, I'd have fucking laughed my ass off being on the end of that phone, wouldn't you? Anyway, this poor kid calling going, but I think, like, the book's wrong. Because I'd like, you know, blah, blah, blah. I went through this and I was very upset and she turned around and she looked it up. And apparently the book had been recalled because there was a typo in it. And my career has been the same ever since. That's my life. Yes, I have. Oh.